All right, welcome back to Satisfactory, where I am putting off editing episodes like I'm supposed to, and instead playing like a good YouTuber. In the last episode, we went out, set up a area to start getting sulfur. And set up an area to start producing aluminum. And did some work on the trains, namely just putting better belts on the unloading station so that we would hopefully no longer have any issues with the unloading process. Seems to be working. Not perfect yet, but we're unloading about 1,500 items a minute, and the trains take a few minutes to go around and do what they need to do, so I'm pretty content with where it's at. In this episode, our plan is to start producing cables at a little bit of a higher rate and transporting them back here to the overflow station. So to start off with, I'm just going to go ahead and make a place for the cables to go. Right now, I think 3 storage containers will be enough. Have these backwards? I do. And I'm just getting this set up in advance so that I don't have to deal with it later. And I can just go ahead and set the cables up. So, in order to make cables, we need wire, which of course we are producing at the cable factory, or sorry, the copper factory. But I don't really want to dig into that wire just yet. I don't know that I will ever really need that much. But when I was running by the other day, aka like 2 episodes ago, it's that cave I was looking for before. Let's run through here really quick while we... So, if we're not coming back to the copper factory for the wire, then why are we coming back? Well, while there are copper nodes here, just a little bit further down, we also have a few iron nodes. Now, I don't really think iron has or really ever, hopefully, will be an issue in this playthrough. So, if we're not having issues with iron, then why would we want to build over here rather than, say, in the main area where we've been farming iron for, I mean, since day 1 of the playthrough? Well, 2 reasons. One, I've already got a train station here that I can easily utilize. Excuse me. That I can easily utilize to deliver the the cables to the overflow station. 2, I don't think we're going to be utilizing this iron in any way, shape, or form in the same way that we're going to be utilizing the other iron. So I figured this would be a better place to take advantage of rather than the area where we definitely still have some iron nodes that we could be utilizing. This build isn't going to be super insane by any means. The plan is just a lot of smelters and a lot of constructors and a lot of iron. And Basically, we're just going to feed everything. Feed the smelters with feed the constructors with the smelters. Nice and easy. Nothing too complicated. All we have to do is the math. Figure out how much exactly we're going to need. So we have 240 per minute. With another 240 per minute, so 480. Another 240 per minute. And another 240 per minute. So 960 in total, correct? A smelter uses 30 iron ore per minute. So 980 by 30 is 32.6 repeating. I don't think we need 32 smelters worth of iron over here. But, you know, we're here. Why not? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Would come over here. Little gap in between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Make the foundation a little bit bigger for the last 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that is 32 smelters. I know it's 32.6. I'll probably just overclock one of them so that you know, I have a nice even number for it, or I'll just lower one of the miners down. Because again, we definitely do not need this much iron ore. Get all the splitters down. Right, there's all of our splitters placed. Now, obviously we don't have a belt that can do 980 per second. So we would need to split this into 2 separate belts. So I'm actually going to turn these. I guess I can still face this way actually. My plan was to connect the belts like this and have everything go. But we'll just have 2 belts, 2 miners going into this one, 2 miners going into that one. That'll be 480 per minute for each of them. Nice even round number. Okay, that's all the belts connected. May want to turn this splitter just to make it a little bit easier in the future. Maybe turn that miner so it faces this way. But we'll get to that in a bit. Next is to set these all up. So they're all doing iron. This is a place where, like, going ahead of myself and making blueprints for this would have been a little bit easier, since I wouldn't have to come back and copy the settings into each individual smelter. Could have just made a blueprint with a smelter on each side and the splitter in the middle, but very much of a blueprint person. I definitely see their value, but for my kind of playthrough, I don't think that blueprints really serve a great purpose. Since I kind of like detailing my builds as I make them rather than having a plan beforehand. Sometimes I do have a plan beforehand and I know what I want to do with it, but often that gets derailed very quickly. So I want to stick to my build style. I think when the 1.0 update comes out, I will utilize blueprints a little bit more, because I definitely see the value in them. But for this playthrough, definitely want to continue with the kind of live nature of building my things as I go and learning along the way rather than knowing what is coming at all times. Makes the game a little bit more fun to me. Okay, that is all of our belts connected. And all the smelters should be set up to make iron. All that is left is to connect the belts to the miners. Sorry, the splitters to the miners. Put one there. For all this excess ore I have. And I'll use these two for the closer of the two miners. Have a belt maybe right here. Let's actually right there. Get it in. Then we'll put a merger on it, like so. I know I only need a tier 3 belt on these. Go ahead and change that. Of course, once they merge, it's only going to need to be it'll need to be a tier 4 belt. And we'll have this one connect really early on. A few foundations, make it look a little nicer. Probably won't quite reach, yep. Okay, there we go. That is all of our belts connected. Now here in the center of each of each of the smelters, we'll need a merger. It is uneven because I placed the smelters an odd number of picks apart. That's okay though. Okay, there's those ones. Over here. Probably also would have been better. I don't know how I could have done it, but I would have saved myself a few mergers if I had changed the way the smelters are oriented. But that is exactly what I'm talking about. We're learning as we're going. Something to consider for another build. This little sandbar is going to cause some issues, it seems. How can we resolve that? It's not going to be perfect, but definitely one of my builds that is. Alright, let's get all of these connected. We're going to start with the tier 1 belts. I know this typically leads to me having backup towards the back. But hopefully that won't happen this time. With 16 smelters feeding into there, it's 30 per minute. Three times 16 is 360, I think, 390 maybe. So the tier 4 belt should be able to handle how much is going in. Hopefully. Alright, just need another row here. Of course, if the belt speed isn't fast enough with the tier 4, you can always bump it up to a tier 5. We'll just have to go pick up some aluminum. It shouldn't be too difficult. Alright, that is all the smelters set up. So, if we're producing 32 times 30 ingots, we're producing 960 ingots, the same amount as the ore, because it's 1 for 1, obviously. Which means we build out this way a bit. Going to anticipate that this is going to require quite a bit of space. And we're going to try to build so that the mergers are in the center of the constructor line, like so. Give them a little bit of space just so that there is a kind of natural gap in them. And each constructor is going to use 12.5 iron ingots a minute. So if we take our original 960 divided by 12.5, we will need 76.8 constructors. That is a lot of constructors. So if I take 76.8 divided by, say, 16, like 4.8. Well, I have 3 rows of mergers, right? This is what I was actually trying to do. I have 3 rows of mergers, so 25.6 per row. But I have 4 rows of smelters actually, so each row should have 19.2 constructors in it. A pretty easy way to do that. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get the point. I'll skip when I have 19. All right, here is our 19 constructors in 4 rows, aka 76 constructors. I will be ever so slightly short because technically I should be making 77, but you know, where are you going to put a 77th constructor in this build, right? And again, making a blueprint here would have saved me a ton of time, but okay. Made it a little bit easier to copy and paste everything, change the bindings up a little bit. Did have to take my crouch button away, which I'm not super happy about, but I think I'll figure it out. Okay, so this is all the constructors we'll need, -1 of course. If we need to, we can always just circumvent that by making, or putting a shard in one of them. So, every constructor is going to make 22.5 wire. We have 76, those 22.5 times 76 is 1710. If we pop open a new constructor, we look at cables. Cables go through 60 per minute. So if we take the 1710 divided by 60, we get 28.5. Now here's the tough thing. We need to consider how much each row of constructors is going to make. So we have 2 lines of 19 in each. So 38, sorry. So 38 times 22.5 is 855. Then 60, we'll take 855 divided by 60. We'll need 14.25 constructors in each row. I hope. So I will start building those out. Alright, that is all 15 of the constructors. For the cables, gotta run down and paste all of the settings in, and of course the 2 at the very back are set to 25%. Alright, let's get some mergers and splitters down over here. All right, that is all of the splitters and mergers placed except for the ones in the middle for the cables. I'm just running a bit low on iron rods, so I'll have to run off and grab some more. But now we just got to slap the belts on all of these. One thing I do have to consider is how fast of a belt I'll need to push all the wire down. And that is not something that I have calculated yet, but I might actually need a tier 5 belt for that. If I remember correctly, it's 38 times 22.5, 855. We actually don't have a belt that can transport that much. The tier 5 belt only does 780. We're gonna be 100 wires short doing it this way. Rather, the wire's going to overflow by 100 or so. You know, we'll leave it for what it is. I'm not too stressed about it, but I'm gonna go ahead and hook up all of these belts. All right, we have all of the belts connected to the final layer of constructors. You see I have a kind of lift system going on here. So to circumvent the extra 100 wire that's going to be passing through, I've got a tier 5 belt on the bottom, and the last 5 constructors on each side, instead of going onto that belt, are just going to go up. They will connect to a merger down the line a little bit. So of course these are all going to fill up. This will throw some more on the line, and then it can continue down like so. So there's looks like 5 constructors in front, so that should just about take care of that problem, I'm hoping. If it doesn't work just quite right, then I'll just move the merger down a little bit farther, or just put another merger on the line. There's already wire on the belt. I was just making sure that the lifts were connected properly, because on this side you can see they look pretty good. Obviously on this side they didn't come out as cleanly because I didn't put enough space in between the constructors and the belt space. So yeah, something you gotta live with. And that leaves us with, looks like I forgot to connect these belts, even though I could have swore that I did. Okay, now all the belts are connected, and all that is left to do is calculate how many cables we're actually going to be making so that we can put the belt here. So we have 30 cables per constructor. We have 15 constructors in each line, but I'm going to calculate it as 40 because the last two are only making 15%, or sorry, 25%. So 14, making 420 cable per minute, plus the 25% of 30, which would be, I think, 8.25, so another 15 per minute. So we're making 445, so I only need a tier 4 belt on this. All right, and then at the overflow storage, we have 3 crates set up to inherit the cables. However, I want more cables than that. So here, we're going to have an additional 4 storage units on the end. These should always be full. I'm going to move these ones over a bit. My constructors are slightly offset. And the way that I'm going to keep them here is we'll have 2 smart splitters, both set so that they go forward with overflow. And the inputs will put in cables. So until the cables are full on both of them, should not have any cables going through. Then I will, once I'm done with the build, the last thing I'll do is I'll wrap this back around and deliver this to the train station. And the train station will take the final overflow, which will give me 7 industrial storages worth of cables. You might think that's a little bit of overkill, but every time I have talked to somebody who has played late game in Satisfactory, the only thing that they say is that they wish that they had made more cables. So I don't even know if this is going to be enough, truthfully. But get our belts connected for the cables now. All right, and the last and final thing to do is to hook it all up to power. So, normally what I would do is hook this all up as I go, but this is a pretty big build, and I'm expecting this to actually take more power than I was hoping for. So I'm going to start with power switch down here, first and foremost. We'll go ahead and turn it on, that is fine. Everything will get hooked up to the B side I think I want to use. Start with this. I did think about going and getting the Mark III power pole, but it just seemed like kind of a lot of extra work. And it takes high-speed connectors, and I wasn't sure if the actual power line was going to take that or just the recipe, and I was not going to make a bunch of high-speed connectors just to connect this. So I am curious to see how much power this inlays, how much power it takes to run this whole thing. I'm expecting it to probably be in the 1500 to 2000 range. So I'll meet you back here once I have all the power lines connected. Alright, one incredibly messy wire system later, I believe I have connected everything to the power, although the power's not on yet, obviously. I was curious to see how much power this was going to use. It looks like it is 576 megawatts, which was a lot less than I was thinking, to be honest. I was assuming it was going to be a minimum of about 1,000, but knowing it's just about half that is a lot better for me. So what I can do now, grab the power tower over here. Should still be one connection left for it. Bring it right over here. Right there seems good. And we will connect this to the power switch. We'll call this the cable factory because that's what it is. And we'll go ahead and one thing I wanted to do was dump any ores or ingots or anything of that sort that I might have, along with a lot of this excess wire that I have. Trying to clear out the train station a bit, just so the belts in the back get a chance to get a little bit of a head start. Seems good. Maybe filling up the ones in the very front wasn't the greatest idea, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and turn this on and see how it runs. I'm gonna run around and just look for any red lights. Obviously meaning that something is not connected. It's this one, it looks like. Looks like this is not connected to the power line. And that was causing all of those red lights. And we have one more down here. And it just does not know what to do. We'll fix that quickly. And we are producing cables, about 500 per minute, which is perfect. I believe I could have swore I set these to be 25%. Yeah, I missed this one. And it'll take a little while for this to get rolling, but I did throw, you know, a few stacks of wire into the constructors just to get it started. As it's going to take a little bit for the wire to actually start getting produced. You can see some of it is already up and going. And of course, it's going to take a little while for the ingots to fill up all of the constructors. But assuming I did my math correctly, it should start filling up pretty quickly. Looks like our iron is doing pretty good. Smelters are just grabbing what they can for now. And we'll have to come back and check on this a little bit later to see if there's any backups anywhere. I'm assuming that the wire is going to inevitably start backing up at some point. Especially with the big stacks that I kind of threw in some of these, like this one. It doesn't seem to have any problems just yet. And these guys are going to get filled up pretty quickly since it's making about 3 stacks per minute. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this to the train station. A tier 3 belt. Kind of tough. Technically, it needs to be a tier 5 belt, otherwise the cables are going to back up after a while. But that's okay, because once both of these are full, if you know it's backing up going to the train station, I'm kind of fine with that. Alright, and I think we'll just throw it in the second freight station. I'll wait for the other train to come through and pick up what it can before I make any changes, just so the train doesn't like derail itself or anything. But we can see just by looking at this that the train is slowly picking everything up out of the third car, which has been the car that's kind of been overflowing the most, and dumping everything. I am going to take all of this wire, well, as much of it as I can. I don't know if I'm just going to go dump it down there in the cable area. I don't want to overflow it too much, but at the same time, I have a ton of wire that I don't really know what to be doing with right now, so. Alright, so we'll go ahead and flip the freight platform around. course means we'll need to take belt off. And we'll just get up. Fine by me. And I'll just toss this excess wire down here so that it can get used. Actually a great chance to test this thing here. Probably connect all of these mergers. There we go. I think the other one's good, yeah. This is set up incorrectly, I think. What I'm curious to see is just if there's any flooding issues down here, which it doesn't look like there is. I could probably even make this a tier 4 belt up top, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. But it does seem to be helping with getting the wire down here a bit quicker. On this side, I don't think I dumped as much in, so that's probably why it's taking a little bit longer. But if I dump into like this one, it should help. And I think with all of that, we are fully producing all of our wire. We're still just waiting for the iron to catch up down here and make its way into all of these. That is fine though. Alright, that is our cable factory up and running. We'll have a total of 48 times 200 times 4, so about 40,000 cables, plus the 3 containers at the overflow storage. So a little under 67.5, which if that's not enough, man, I don't know how much more we're gonna need. But that seems like a good place to end the episode. It might be a little bit of a shorter episode since there was just a lot of putting stuff down and running around. But thank you so much for watching. It's very much appreciated, and I will catch you in the next one.